Okay. We would like to continue with our program. Please continue to eat. I want to introduce Congresswoman Ileana Ros-Lehtinen. Before that, I would like to acknowledge and thank Mayor Regalado, Tomás Regalado, for being here today. As a matter of fact, Tomás, I think you were a student of mine.
Oh.
Weren't you a student of mine?
No,
Marco.
Oh, Marco. Okay. All right. Well, we are delighted.
I ate at your son's restaurant.
Oh, okay, that's good too. We're delighted to have Ileana. As you mostly of you know, I'm an only child. So if I always wanted to have a sister, and I wanted a sister like Ileana. Tough, smart, aggressive. That's my kind of sister. So she is my little sister. We are very happy to have her here. I really appreciate that she's here. Her father is not doing well physically, but she took the time to be here with us. As you know, she is the first woman, Spanish-American, Cuban-American, in the House of Representatives, and she's now the chairman of the subcommittee on the Middle East, a key position with the problems that we have in the Middle East. So it is my pleasure and my honor to introduce Ileana Ros-Lehtinen.
Thank you so much, Jaime, and I'm so glad that you pointed out that our wonderful mayor from the city of Miami is here. Let's give it up again for the world's best mayor, City of Miami Mayor Tomasito Regalado. And Tomasito, come up here so I can take a picture with you. Come on over here. And he's been a longtime supporter of the free and democratic people of Taiwan, and has had great relations with all of the representatives here. Thank you, Tomasito. Big Daddy. That's a private joke we have. We don't want to explain that. Also here is a gentleman with whom my husband and I had the pleasure of serving in the Florida State House of Representatives in Tallahassee. In fact, he demands from my father some sort of commission because he says he's the one who hooked up Dexter and me. And that's El Bombón que Camina, Humberto Cortina. So that's the reason that my father needs to stay alive and vibrant, because Humbertico says he has not collected on that, right? It's still pending. It's coming. That's what he says all the time. But Humbert says, where is it? It's in the Café Petraeus. But that's another story. And then we have a wonderful young man, uno de los pinos nuevos, como dijo nuestro apóstol, Ralph Rosada, who's here with us. Ralphie is running for the city of Miami slot that is going to be opening up, and I always like to point out good candidates who are out there. And I'm so pleased to be here with so many wonderful friends. But today is a special day. Not only is it my husband's birthday, but somebody's birthday too, Jose. Come on over here. Come on over here. We have a birthday. So let's everybody sing. I have no singing voice. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jose. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
So thank you so much to so many wonderful, wonderful friends. Thank you especially to Jaime and all of the hardworking people here of this great institute for hosting us. Was that meal not delicious? Yes, it was. And I always welcome the opportunity to return to my alma mater. Go Canes! How are we doing with the March Madness? We're still alive?
Go Gators!
Oh, did that. Okay, but we're for the Gators today, too. I think they won yesterday, right? But thank you to the representatives of so many wonderful organizations and sponsors who are here with us this afternoon. The Institute for Cuban and Cuban American Studies, obviously, the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office here in Miami, the Center for Hemispheric Study Policy at the University of Miami, and the Cuban Heritage Collection at the University of Miami Libraries. So let's give it up for all of those great groups. Well, last year we gathered at this very same place to discuss Taiwan as a model for Cuba's future. And the fundamental theme during last year's event was praising the lessons that we should have learned from Taiwan's successful evolution from an authoritarian regime to now a thriving democracy, and examining how we can apply all of that success, because it is a success story, to one day soon, to a free and democratic Cuba. May it be so. And today's theme is resolving international disputes. Well, just like last year, we recognized the close ties between the Cuban and Taiwanese communities. This afternoon, I'm so pleased to again reaffirm those common ideals, because the values that bind us together are rooted in the beliefs of freedom, of democracy, of respect for human rights, of respect for the rule of law. And last week, I had the important opportunity, along with so many of my colleagues, to host in the United States Capitol, the symbol of freedom, the new Taiwan ambassador in Washington, D.C., and we were just talking about that a few minutes ago. And I was honored, as you know, to lead a congressional delegation to Taiwan last year to attend the president's swearing-in ceremony. So U.S.-Taiwanese relations have never been stronger, but there is still a lot of work to be done because we have to maintain even closer political, security, economic, and trade relations. Taiwan is an essential ally of the United States and must be treated that way. So that's why in Congress I have introduced the Taiwan Policy Act. And let me tell you what this bill does. It's a multi-pronged legislation. It seeks to further diplomatic relations with Taiwan, take it to a higher level. It will permit senior Taiwanese leaders to meet with the United States officials in all executive branches. It is unbelievable. People still don't know that that is not allowed. It authorizes the sale of F-16CD fighter jets, this aircraft which is the best of the best in the armed forces of Taiwan, and Randy wants to say yes to that. We don't want to get the other generation. We want to get the new generation of these. We're sending them all around to folks who are not our strong strategic allies. How could we not be sending them to Taiwan? It also authorizes the transfer of decommissioned class-guided missiles, fight frigates, to Taiwan. Now, these are frigates that are no longer being used by the United States. They should be given to Taiwan. And that would send a very clear signal, not just to the people of Taiwan, but to the enemies of freedom, democracy, and human rights. And lastly, the bill supports Taiwan's membership in all kinds of international organizations, such as the United Nations and the International Civil Aviation Organization. Many people don't know that Taiwan is still barred from being a part of these international organizations. If you're not in these organizations then decide your fate. And that is a very unfair advantage, obviously, that they have over Taiwan. Now, what we've seen is the growing antagonism of the Kim regime in North Korea. We've seen the ever-expanding territorial ambitions of China. And so our alliance with the democratic nation of Taiwan is even more important now than ever. With a new president being elected in Taiwan, we've got to take this opportunity to solidify both our friendship and alliance that I believe are critical to the United States, and it's critical to our own national security interests. It is not just of benefit to Taiwan, it benefits us here as well. Now, the East China Sea Peace Initiative is a bill that is a proposal, as you know, that is bandied about in Taiwan. It's being put into fruition, and the goal of that is to pursue a peaceful solution to what is becoming a very heated East China Sea dispute. The South China Sea contains vital commercial shipping lanes. It's a point of access between the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. It provides a maritime lifeline to many countries in the region. And through the past couple of years, we have seen tensions on the waterways, and that tension has come from China flexing its military muscles. In the past, the Chinese military, they have fired shots at fishing boats, innocent fishermen. They have attempted to ram other ships, and they have cut the cables of an exploration ship, and they have used guns to threaten the crews of other fishing vessels on the waters. These are terrible intimidation tactics used by the communist Chinese regime, and we hope that we can soon see a peaceful resolution to these conflicts, but I'm afraid that China doesn't want to see a peaceful resolution. They are looking for a confrontation. So along with my congressional colleague, Mr. Falmo Vega of American Samoa, he and I have introduced H.R. 772, which is a bill to promote the peaceful and collaborative resolution of the South China Sea dispute, because we've got to reaffirm the strong support of the United States for the resolution of these maritime territorial disputes in the South China Sea, in the Taiwan Straits, in the East China Sea, in the Yellow Sea, all over. All over, China is flexing its muscle, but we've got to pledge to continue efforts to facilitate a collaborative, peaceful process to resolve these disputes. We have seen what China wants to do. They want to claim all of that territory as their territory, and they're hoping that no one will notice, and they're hoping that the United States will look the other way. We can't look the other way, so it's up to us to step up in favor of our strong ally, Taiwan, and I hope that this administration gets to do that. We also have a difficult situation, as you know. Jaime, can I have that vodka? If not, then I'll take the water. Okay. Oh, the rum and Coke. Better. Thank you. Now, when it comes to Cuba, we have our own disputes in terms of waterways and airspace, and we have seen them play out in the past years right here in our front and backyard. On July 13th, 1994, what did the Cuban regime do? It massacred innocent, unarmed men, women, and children who were attempting to flee Cuba for a better life in the United States. What Cuban authorities did is they rammed the tugboat. It's a tugboat filled with people trying to flee Cuba. The tugboat was named El 13 de Marzo, March 13th. And the Cuban Coast Guard used water cannons, high-pressure water, to actually drown. They drowned the tugboat of these fleeing Cuban refugees. The United States, we issued some kind of a pathetic statement, and the whole world looked away. And this was right here, where we saw innocent people being massacred. And for decades, the Cuban people have risked their lives. They have made that dangerous journey from the enslaved and oppressed island of Cuba across the Florida Straits, yearning for freedom and democracy in the United States. And the tugboat massacre is but one of many examples that we can use that is a sad and tragic reminder of the brutal actions that are committed daily against the Cuban people in ways small and big. But the Castro brothers not only threatened their own people, but he also is responsible for the deaths of Americans, as we know. On February 24th, 1996, 4 brave patriots lost their lives in an unprovoked, malicious attack by the Castro regime. Carlos Costa, Armando Alejandre, Mario de la Peña, and Pablo Morales, they were killed when 2 Cuban MiGs were ordered to shoot down their unarmed civilian aircraft over international waters, and that order was made by Fidel and Raul Castro. And although we're very sorry that these patriots have passed, we continue to honor the sacrifices and the dedication of these courageous heroes who believed in the cause of assisting Cubans who were trying to come to the United States. That's all they were guilty of. The Cubans who wanted to reach U.S. shores to escape the tyranny of the Cuban Castro brothers. We shall never forget their memories. We shall never forget their sacrifice. And those are just examples of a few. There are so many, sadly, that we can list. And we will always have that voice in support of their mission to bring freedom, liberty, and democracy to the oppressed people of Cuba. Now, another international dispute that affects both Taiwan and Cuba is in New York, and that's called the United Nations. The U.S. policy must be to guarantee full participation of Taiwan in the relevant United Nations entities, as well as other international organizations like the one I mentioned, the International Civil Aviation Organization, which is the one we're really pushing for this Congress. At the same time, under the Obama administration, the U.S. has wrongly been satisfied with the UN Human Rights Council that has Cuba as a member. And time again, this council gets together and they pass every resolution that is anti-freedom, anti-democracy, and anti-human rights. What good does it do the United States to be part of the problem, to give this organization that has no legitimacy, to give it the gravitas that the United States brings to it? The fact that the world, some of the world's worst human rights abusers sit on the United Nations Human Rights Council is in and of itself proof that the United States should not be a member of it. It only further damages the already tarnished reputation of the United Nations, if that were even possible. But that's why I will soon be reintroducing a bill that I have long been a champion of, the United Nations Transparency, Accountability, and Reform Act. Can you imagine those words? Thank you. That gives me time to... The United Nations being in the same sentence as those words, transparency, accountability, and reform. Well, only in the title of my bill. But it would require the United Nations to switch its funding mechanism from an assessed basis to a voluntary basis. This shift would empower the United States and other member states to use our money and their money contributions to press for badly needed reforms. By reforming the United Nations, we can build upon its foundation and mission to oversee international disputes through the lens of freedom and democracy. The voluntary funding structure would allow the United States to prevent our money, your money, U.S. taxpayer monies, to go to discredited organizations and initiatives such as the Human Rights Council. If Cuba wants to contribute to the UN Human Rights Council, Cuba can contribute to it. Let Cuba fund it. Can you imagine how discredited the already discredited group would be? But the United States should not lend our money, your money, to this organization. And we could pick which organizations are meritorious of your money. But we know that the United Nations is trying to do what it can through the lens of freedom and democracy. Has it done a fair job? Has it done a decent job? I don't think it's even done a decent job. I think it's done a disservice to humanity. And the current dispute with Cuba is based upon the foundation that the Castro brothers must release their grip on the Cuban people. U.S. law clearly defines a peaceful transition as one that does not include Fidel or Raul Castro. That is written in U.S. law. I am confident that the opposition movement in Cuba has the capacity, has the ability, has the desire to undergo this transition to democracy. But a transition to a functioning democracy in Cuba will not happen unless we continue to stand in solidarity with those brave Cubans who are outspoken and who challenge the regime at every turn and who yearn for liberty and peace on the island. The United States is always standing with those freedom fighters, but where are the voices of the other countries? Taiwan is always there with us. The Czech Republic is there. Poland is there. We have a few countries. Israel is always there. But where are the others? Almost 200 and something countries in the world, and we can count, sadly, in two hands the countries that stand in solidarity with us. So I am hopeful that this event and the leaders in this room will be able to bring attention to the issues that are vital to the United States and to the United States allies. Always the people of Taiwan and always the people of Cuba, such as, what are those goals? The advancement of freedom, the defense of human rights, the protection of speech, the protection of expression, of religious affiliation. Those are the bedrock of United States democratic government. They're the bedrock of Taiwan, and they should be and must be once again the bedrock of the Cuban Constitution. So I'm honored to be here this afternoon to join so many fellow freedom believers. Look forward to working with all of you through this forum and many others to further advance our shared commitment for democracy, for human rights, for the rule of law, and for the advancement of mankind. Muchísimas gracias. Muy agradecido. Thank you. Good, thank you.
Okay, I'd like to call now Director Reimu for a presentation to Ileana.
Is the diamonds that you promised me?
Yes.
Stay here with me.
I think this is a bottle of vodka.
Let me see, let me put it over here.
We all know that Congresswoman, thank you.
Oh.
We all know that Congresswoman is the strongest friend in the Capitol Hill for Taiwan. And she helps us and support Taiwan's democracy, support Taiwan's political development, and also the international participation for so many years.
So nice, thank
And she is also a dear friend with our government leaders and from everywhere. People in Taiwan all love you, Congresswoman.
Thank you.
We know that you insist your principle and your core value of liberty, of human rights, freedom, and democracy never change. So for that, we want to pay you our highest respect. And this is a small token on behalf of our people.
Thank
I want to
you.
say thank you, Congresswoman.
Thank you. If I could ask my friends, Regalado to join me, and Humberto, come on over here. Pedrito, come on over here. And Jose, come on over, and Randy, come on over, gentlemen. We'll have you sing a few words here. Come join us. Okay, we're squeezing together. Vamos, Humbert.
Oye, tú un grupo que importa, mira.
Squeeze in, you need us
Squeeze
closer?
in.
Thank you.
Beba. ¿Sabes que?
Esa beba es tremenda.
¿Sabes
Buena
que-
amiga.
¿Sabes que the most active sister city de Miami es
Is?
Kaohsiung?
Yes.
Kaohsiung.
Oh,
In
then
Taiwan.
you're the next speaker then. Andres, how do we do? Okay, thank you everybody. I'm off to South Miami. My dad. Bueno, gracias. Gracias.